This is Romo Dunze, and you're listening to the Ballsville Podcast.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Welcome in, Ballsville gamers, to another episode of the Ballsville Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Fitzgerald, a.k.a. Lutes for Sale on Sleeper. And this episode is brought to you by theballsvillegame.com. Our games combine fantasy football and poker, which create big payouts with great odds.
Big payouts, great odds.
Welcome on in, gamers. I am sitting right next to me is Bill's Mafia. He goes by Sklem on Sleeper. What is up, Sean?
Not much.
What's up? Cracking a cold one. I must say, I dig the Bills old school buffalo hat.
Thank you. This one is one of my favorites. It has the baseball pinstripes on the sides and everything.
Well, that's cool. And I actually wish that the Bills would go back to their old uniforms. I'm not really a big fan of the new uniforms. That's something that we'll get into in the offseason.
Oh man, I love them.
We break down our favorite uniforms and unfavorite uniforms.
But when you say old, do you mean like O.J. Simpson old, or those dark blue with the red helmet old?
The O.J. Simpson with that logo on the helmet.
Okay, so basically the same kind of uniform, but with just this logo instead of the new logo. Yeah,
and I think it would be sweet if they went with like the blue like you got and red pants.
Yeah. I know I think they've done that combination one time since they brought back the red jerseys, because they have the red jerseys now, the color.
Yeah.
What do they call Color Rush red jerseys?
I think the red jerseys look good with like the white pants, and then I like the blue jerseys if they went with the red pants. I don't know. I've just been I love the red pants. Like when the Redskins would wear their red pants with their white jerseys at home, and I don't know. And then in the Seminoles, they wear their, red garnet, pants. I just like that red combination. I don't know.
Like my high school football colors then. They're gold and maroon.
Gold and maroon. Yeah, I'm a big Seminoles fan, besides being a Michigan fan, so I like their color combos. So I'm a big uniform guy. When I feel if you look good, you play good. So
yeah, that's why Denver's uniforms bother me so much.
Well, we're gonna get into that in the off season. We break down our favorite and non-favorite uniforms along with the favorite.
I legit had a hard time telling the difference between them and the Bears, bro. I mean, honestly, there was a few times where I was like, why are the Bears? Oh, wait, that's not the Bears. For some reason, I cannot get the Bears or their uniforms separate in my mind. They look too alike. It's ridiculous.
Got you. So today's episode, we're going to get into some football talk, a little bit of football talk. We're going to get into our dynasty playoff combinations, and we're also going to get into a little of the mini games and the odds that are going into the championship weeks. Also, between Sean and I, we recorded a video on wagering for the big game. We'll get into that with you guys. So it'll be a smaller show today, and then we'll be back on Tuesday. Sean will be back on Monday with his guillotine pod. So first and foremost, I want to talk about a coaching hire that I understand now why this happened, but at first I was really shocked. But Bill Belichick going back to the college, or actually going to the college game, he's never really coached there. His father has. And I was like, what is he doing? I mean, why would you go there? You got the Bears, the Jets. I mean, the Bears and Jets are idiots. They should have freaking called him immediately. But now, after digging through the tea leaves, I understand why he did it. And he's being a good father and setting up his son for success down the road. So that's kind of what I'm getting. It looks like a 5-year deal. 3 years are guaranteed with some incentives. And I was told, and from what I understand, the part of the deal from him being hired is when he leaves, the Carolina has to hire his son. So that's
Oh,
what
so
I
Steve
got.
Belichick is the successor, basically.
Yes, exactly. So what? So that's what I got out of it. What do you think about that, Sean?
Well, I mean, if he's doing it for his family, more power to him, right? But I don't understand the move, to be honest. Like, if I'm that close to the all-time winningest coach ever in NFL history, I mean, he's under one season away from it. Like, take another 2 years, coach somewhere else, and then bring your son on board to North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't now. The other things that I've been hearing that potentially could have a huge factor in this is his market was not as good as he had anticipated, and who's to say that any of these NFL teams were even willing to bring him in because he had a very my way or the highway style, and that turned off a lot of teams last season, and that's why Atlanta was really the only team that was looking at him hardcore towards the end of this coaching cycle here last time around. So, if that happens again and he's stuck with only one or two options and, they don't have a quarterback, they're not really in a good position as a squad, he might not want to have to go through any of that again, and maybe he's only wants to coach for 3 to 4 more years. And this was his way to make sure his kid was set up, and that he didn't have that option in the NFL. There's no way an NFL team would ever agree to, yeah, I'll hire your kid after you're done.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think maybe the market wasn't as good as the anticipated, but I thought the Bears job would have been a very good, intriguing job. It's a big market. He has a young quarterback. The defense is pretty good. Ownership, but I mean, like you said, if you're going in with my way, if you're going to hire a coach that's my way or the highway, I mean, look at the guy's resume. Who cares what this guy wants? Give him whatever you
I'm
want.
not arguing with you on that at all.
Yeah, I mean,
Not.
you're going to argue with this guy who turned the Patriots from nothing to multiple, basically a dynasty, and
Yeah.
you're going to nitpick over what this guy wants. So,
Yeah,
but
to me, it's ridiculous. Like, Dallas is like it's a no-brainer, in my opinion, for Dallas to bring on Bill Belichick. I mean, their team is set up for exactly what Bill Belichick would need to kind of come in and be able to start winning right away. Jerry should step back and say, "Yeah, you're Bill Belichick. You do whatever the hell you need to do," and just let the man do his job. And Jerry's the only one that won't hire a GM over him. Every other coach, every other owner is going to want to hire a GM. And that was a big conflict with him in the last coaching cycle is he wanted a GM coach, and nobody was willing to give him GM coach. They wanted a GM and a coach. So it was a definite like hurdle for him last time around. And I think maybe he could be at a point now too where he's like, you know what? I don't want to deal with that. I want to have younger kids that are moldable, that I can kind of coach my way and not get the attitude that I was getting towards the end of my career, and then just kind of build up something that my son can work his way into and have a nice, like, basically build the house for him so that when he comes in, all the furniture's there.
Yeah, and with the transfer portal, it'll be easy for him to mold a team the way he wants it. But I don't think this chapter in the NFL is fully closed for Bill Belichick. He's like a junkie, like we are with fantasy. So
say he wants to come back. What he's going to be 78 by the time he would come. I mean, if he does minimum 3 years, right? I think he's in it. I think he's 75 or 76 at this point. So that puts him in his almost 80.
I thought he was a little younger than that. I thought he was maybe in his like early 70s. So I mean,
So
he's getting up
real
there.
quick.
I mean, something we could probably look up real quick. But
Yeah, I'm going to look it up real quick here and see if I can get an answer on that one. Because I know I've seen it recently. He's 72.
72.
So
if he
yeah, his
stays,
birthday is April 16th, so he'll be turning, 73.
oh wow, 73 in April.
So yeah, so you put him 3 years down the road, you're looking at
76.
77, 76. Yeah, like going back into the NFL at that age.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
You know what?
You know,
You know what? I don't know if Bill Belichick's a guy that really, really cares about like all-time record. I mean, maybe he doesn't, maybe he does. I don't know.
I
But
think that the wanting to prove he can do it without Brady would be more important to him. Because he wasn't able to do that. He had one good season with Mac Jones after Brady left, and then he has a tire fire every season after that. So, I would think that drive would want him to come back to say, hey, it wasn't just Brady. I am the best coach ever. He's going to have that hanging over his head if he never coaches in the NFL again.
yeah, so Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think it's, even though he's aging. I think if there's an opportunity after 3 years, I mean, it'd have to be like he's walking into like Joe Burrow prime.
Well, he could also pull a Nick Saban and like walk out midway through this contract and leave him high and dry with his son, and to force their hand.
I mean,
If
if he can turn this, if he can do what like Jim Harbaugh did, come in and I mean, maybe he'd have to obviously do it a lot quicker, but if he could come in and turn the program around right away, where they're like in the playoffs now that the college has expanded, get this team to the playoffs year 3. I think if he left, they're not going to be, I think it's not going to be that big of a deal. I mean, his son's
because he'll basically say, "Hey, look, I'm still just going to coach from afar. My kid's basically here doing everything I would do."
His kid's an extension. I mean, the kids grew
with
up
with the exception of his hairdo.
Yeah, I mean, the kid grew up with a whistle in his mouth, so I mean, he's basically just an extension of Bill Belichick. So, but yeah, I thought that was really interesting. But hey, he's being a good father, man. Set his son up for success. So.
I mean, more power to you. I think being a good father would be not dating a girl half his age, but that's just my opinion.
Well, I'll tell that to my dad. So, anyways, and then so now I want to talk about last night and what I witnessed. I don't know what that was that I was watching. I know at one point.
You talking about the field goal fest?
Well, I know at one point I turned over and I was flipping through the channels and I found one of my favorite shows, The World's Strongest Man, and I was watching these guys carry this thing on their chest for like 50 meters. It's called an Africa Stone, and
I've seen that.
I thought that was way more entertaining than what I was watching last night. And you play silly games, you get silly results, and the game we play is very silly, and unfortunately it happened in the first week of the playoffs, which is very unfortunate. But I don't think anybody would have had on their big no card that Cooper Kupp would have basically a donut.
No, I didn't, because he was in 3 or 4 of my playoff games, so I absolutely had no idea he was putting up a donut, or that would not have been the case.
Yeah, and I know Zubakis, and he's in chat right now. What's up, Zubes? He was like ranting yesterday because he had Purdy. I know Puka helped him out, because Puka was basically your best player yesterday, along with Kyron Williams. But Brock Purdy poo-pooed the bed. Juwan Jennings,
Samuel didn't do nothing.
Deebo Samuels poo-pooed the bed.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, I don't know. I don't understand if these guys like forgot how to play in the rain. I mean, I know when I was a kid, it was like you couldn't wait till it rained, because you go out there and play football. And even though the Nerf football would get wet, it'd weigh like 20 pounds when you'd go to throw it. I just don't understand these horrible Thursday night games. I'm going to have to go back and see if this is like this on Thanksgiving. But I'm almost thinking maybe these guys need an extra day, maybe move these games to Friday or something. But these games are just awful. What do you think about this, Sean?
I mean, I agree with you. I think that the thing is that it's a money grab, and they're not going to change anything about it. So we're going to be stuck with Thursday no matter what the case is.
What's the big deal if they move it to Friday? If there's nothing
I don't think they would. I just don't think so. I think Fridays, they got some college football games on Fridays, and I don't think they want to work on Friday is the go out night. I think they want them on Thursday for that, everybody staying home from work to work on Friday morning. So like that's just my thought. I mean, it's definitely got viewership intentions one way or the other, but for me, I think they need to work on the bye schedule better and help these teams out as best as they can when they're on these short weeks, whether it's having them on making sure they're on an early game Sunday at minimum the week before, try to give them as early as possible, as much time as possible to be able to get to that Thursday game. A lot of times you'll see these guys go from Sunday night to Thursday games, and I'm like, that's not right. You know what I mean? Like, that's an extra 9 to 10 hours of good rest. Sunday nights and the East Coast don't end till midnight, past midnight sometimes. And then you're putting these guys back out on the field in less than 80 hours or so, 85 hours, if that's the case. That's just not enough time. I don't know what they're going to do for Wednesday now because we have Wednesday on Christmas coming up. That there's a game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
So
there's
hoping that they're at least going to play those guys on Saturday the week prior for those teams that are playing on Christmas. But I mean, if they're going from Sunday to Wednesday, I don't know what that's going to be like.
I mean, I know it's a money grab, and I know that we're all sickos. We're gonna watch it no matter what. But it's like, like I said, I was scrolling around yesterday. I was like, this sucks, and I'm like scrolling around. Like I scrolled around like 5 minutes before halftime. The end of the game was coming. It wasn't really even that close. I kind of just scrolled around, like totally lost interest. I mean, I was on my phone half the time while the game was going on. It was boring. And, your average fan is not going to watch that. I mean, the sickos like us will, but your average guy that just watches, Sunday football, and then when his team's over or whatever, he just goes and does something else. Eventually, these people aren't going to watch this crap anymore because it's just garbage. So,
yeah, I'm looking at the schedule right now, and the Wednesday game is the Texans and Ravens. So you're talking two playoff bound teams. That battle is going to mean a lot for the AFC standings in the middle of the week on a Wednesday. And I'm just trying to verify right now what their schedule's like the prior week. So the Ravens do play Pittsburgh on Saturday the week prior. So they're going from Saturday to Wednesday for that. So I don't unfortunately have a Texan on this roster that I'm looking at right here just to be able to give you an answer real quick on the Texans schedule. But I know at least the Ravens, I would assume that the Texans are also playing Saturday the prior week. Otherwise that would be just ridiculous, man.
Right. Yeah. Zoop says Mahomes was complaining about the upcoming schedule because they play 3 games in under 10 days. I mean, that's just terrible. I mean, and the other thing,
well,
too,
I mean, if any team deserves it.
Yeah, but and then the other thing that's concerning too is these guys that are already injured. I mean, now that's like less days they got to rest and try to recover. So now you're putting the backups out there, and it's like it's not good football. It's not good football. I guarantee the players don't like it. So and
the only thing I think the players like is having the time off on the following week.
Yeah, and the coaches probably don't like it either because it's less time to prepare for their opponents. So,
yep.
I
mean, right now too, you got situations right now with this time of year where there's a lot of teams that can't even practice outdoors right now. I mean, Buffalo has not had a padded practice whole week going into this Lions game. So, not to say that that's going to make a difference, but it absolutely can. It's absolutely scary as a Bills fan to know that your team couldn't have one single padded practice the entire week before a big game like this.
Okay, so this segues into what I was going to say next. Now, if this generation of football players, if they can't play in weather, then you know what? Make it mandated. All new stadiums going forward are all stadiums in cold weather. They all have to be domes or retractables.
See, I don't agree with that. The fact that they couldn't practice, they could have practiced and played in it. They're not going to put a player out there on a practice field and risk injury in that weather.
Right.
That's the issue.
Right.
So put your practice field indoors.
Right.
But it's getting to the stadium that was the problem for Buffalo this week.
Right. But I mean, some of these teams can't even play in the freaking snow or the rain. I mean, so
I love a good snow game though, man. I mean, that Buffalo game and that San Fran Bills game in the snow was amazing to watch. Like it's such a fun environment for a fan to watch these guys running around in the snow like that. It brings back like memories,
Yeah, like I said, when we were kids growing up and we were playing football, it was like I didn't want to play when it was sunny and 80. I wanted to play when it was snowing or raining, slopping around out there. And then these guys are, making a lot of money, go out there and perform. And but I don't know that. I'm just thinking that I don't know. The older I get, I think that the NFL's it's starting to get wussified. I remember back in the day when guys played with broken arms and didn't matter what the weather was, and you could actually tackle a guy, make a big hit. And now it's just getting almost like two-hand touch. So, but anyways,
that's definitely not happy with all of that. Like the roughing the passer scenario right now is ridiculous, man. it's almost to a point where it feels like there's times that they utilize it as a way to control outcomes of games more than actually, be fair and keep the most important guy healthy.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I agree with that's I think should go being mandated, especially for the offensive and defensive linemen, is those guardian caps. I think those
Yeah.
guardian caps, even if it just helps a little bit, I think all offensive and defensive linemen, they should make it mandatory that they have to wear those.
Yeah, they should have. I mean, like, I would think that they're going to have some sort of technology for those guys that is a lot more spring loaded on those helmets in order to absorb the consistent hitting, because they're different than regular players. Is they're always hitting each other at the same angle over and over and over again. So you'd think they could design those helmets to withstand that one specific hit on a regular basis. That makes it to where at least that initial interaction is not as bad as it is now.
Yeah, I
Like,
wouldn't be shocked if it. I mean, I don't have young kids anymore, and I don't really follow youth football, but I'm pretty sure eventually all those kids are going to be wearing guardian caps, and no matter what position they're playing.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't not do tackle football up to a certain age and do flag football up until probably early teens or even high school.
Yeah.
Moving forward, just because flag football is becoming so popular and it is a lot safer of an approach for kids.
Got you. Yep. No, I agree. All right. Well, then that's our rant of the NFL. So
Absolutely nothing to do with fantasy football.
yeah, sometimes we like to just rant. But
Yeah, that's for.
But we'll get into a little bit of the mini games. Just a few things I want to read over. So basically, the mini leagues, the wagers are all locked in. The odds are 1 in 20 to win $660. So those are pretty good chunk of change right there. 1 in 40 odds at 100, and 4 in 40 odds at $30. 20 players have cashed for $30. So the mini leagues are all set. We'll score these 20 winners sometime next week on one of our pods. So that's the mini leagues. We'll get into the best ball or we'll get into the big game next week. Sean and I did come up with a wagering demo. We posted them in all the big game leagues. So if you guys are on here listening and you were, still, trying to figure out the wagering process, the video is very good. You can go through it. We hit all the key points on everything for wagering. So I know it's a little confusing, but once you get it, it'll be like getting on a bike again and riding a bike. So that's the mini game. So we'll get into the dynasty playoffs. I think Sean has them. You got them pulled up, Sean?
Yes, sir. Let me scroll right on down to the dynasty leagues. They're actually up since I was at the mini leagues, just looking at how well everybody did. And I have to say, congratulations and thank you to all the mini league participants that received a coin. You guys got back to us so quick. We were able to get everything locked in this early. It is amazing. You guys are great. We really appreciate you guys getting back to us as quick as you did.
Right. Yep. So we're going to get into these and just give you a breakdown. This is the only league, format in Ballsville that 6 teams make the playoffs. The top 2 teams get a first round bye. All the other formats that we have are 4-team playoffs, and they fire up right away. No buys. So we'll get into Sharon. So coming in,
Shenron.
Shenron,
Not Sharon.
So coming in with the 1 and 2 first round buys, we got Play Action Jackson's, pretty cool name. 12 and 2, we got Team Live Mock at 10 and 4. They're the 2 first round buys, and then the first round matchups we got Jerry B83, who we know quite well. He'll match up against the Jake Tennille's, the 6th seed. Pits and Giggles, the number 4 seed. He'll match up with Team Justin. Yeah. Zoob says the dragon names for me should be fun. Yes, they should be fun, and I'm sure you guys will get a great laugh out of all this. So that's Shenron. Okay, number 2, we have Alduin.
Alduin.
Okay, all right, there it
You
is.
gotta say it like WNBC, like Howard Stern. Alduin.
Okay, Alduin. All right, so the 1 and 2 seeds with the first round bye are Team Nasit and Injigbas in Paris. That's a pretty cool name. They got the first round buys. Congratulations. Another 12-2 team. And then the playoff matchups this week are Shawnathon WH, the 3 seed, against Braden 0024, 6 seed. Then we have Fukyu, number 4 seed.
Fukyu.
Yeah. And Team Harriseth. So the 4 and 5 matchup is in that league right there.
I'm gonna root for Fukyu just so we get to say it again.
Yeah, that is a pretty cool name.
It's from Austin Powers.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. All right, Smog. That's pretty easy to pronounce. Number 1 and number 2.
It's actually Smaug.
Is it Smog? Smaug?
It's Smaug.
Smaug?
I'm just messing with you. Smog's totally fine.
Okay. Okay, so Purdy Loving and Team Bagney, they get the first round buys. Team Adam C 1883.
That's one old man.
He'll match up against Drew Blees 13. Is it Drew Blees 13 or Drubels 13, Sean?
It's Drubels, man. We talked about this. It's Drubels.
Yeah, I know.
13.
I just want to make
sure. Until
sure.
he tells us anything different, it's Drubels.
Okay, they'll match up in the first quarter, and then the second.
I like
quarter.
Bumblebee Tunas on this league. That's my favorite one in this league.
That's Jay Morris. Yeah, Bumblebee Tunas.
Bumblebee Tunas. That's a nice Ventura reference. I love it.
And NR Greer 13. So they'll match up together. So that's Smog.
Bumblebee Tunas.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Bahamut.
I'll let it go because I'm not 100% if it's wrong or right.
Bahamut. We got a couple regulars in here. We got Super El Biesto. And
you changed it up. I like that better. Super El Biesto. That's a
Super El Biesto. Yeah, they'll wrap. They got the first round bye. So congratulations to those 2 regulars. Looks like we got Connor Seabomb just in time to win. He's going to match up against White Knight. Let's ride in the first quarter. Second quarter will be Jack Go Hike against Mega Flare. That's Westlex El Presidente. They'll be matching up against each other. So congratulations. We got some regulars in this one.
Yep.
All right. Now we are going to
Shenron.
We're already at Shenron.
Did we do Shenron?
Yes.
Alduin? Am I going? Oh, I know why.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not jumping down to the next row.
Yeah,
I have to move back
down
out.
to the next one.
So we're on the Charizard now.
Charizard. All right, Charizard. The 1 and 2 buys, we got Red Kingdom 10, 13, and 1. Congratulations there. We have a regular cup half full. How about cup no full from last night? TB76. Congrats.
I wonder if he got a nice goose egg from cup too, just like I did.
Oh, I'm sure he did. But you know what, though? He's not playing, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's in a bye, so it don't matter.
So that's why buys could be very important. So the first quarter, we got Brady. Our man Brady at 11-3. Wow, 11-3, and he didn't get the first round bye. That kind of sucks.
Yeah.
He'll match up against Braden 0024, coming into the playoffs at 6-8.
Wow.
In the second quarter, we have Luke Mecca and Jimbo's Bimbos.
That's right. That's our boy.
That's our boy. So that's the second quarter. I think I can pronounce this one. Toothless.
Good job.
So, in the Toothless League, we got Ethan Blanca, 10, 11-3, and Hubs TPA. They get the first round bye, both 11-3. In the first quarter, we got Daniel D. Payne, 19. He'll match up against Harper, 10-24 in the first quarter. Second quarter, we got Super LBS Stu and C-Bomb Connor matching up in that quarter.
Ooh, good matchup.
Good matchup there. That is Toothless. Over on to Deathwing, we have Team Chiefs Life 13 and Orenbeck, both 10-4, first round bye. In the first quarter, we got Nelly 1 matched up against White Knight, 1988. In the second quarter, we got our man C. Sims, 52, and our boy Lovejohn.
Look at that.
That is Deathwing.
Ooh, I'll let you say this one.
Oh, man. Let's see. We'll go with
Sound it out, Scott.
Skythrix.
Very close. Skitherix.
Skitherix?
Yep, Skitherix.
Skitherix. Okay, Skitherix. I guess like Twix. Skither Twix. And first round buys go to Echo EFX, 12-2, and our man C. Sims, 52. Congrats. First quarter, Jerry B, 83, is matched up against Ethan Blanca, 10. And then we have our man Zoobs. More Jefferson, please, against Captain Bubbles. So that is the second quarters. And I'm not even going to say that name again. We're going to move on. So we can't do that anymore. That's Cheersig. So we did. So it looks like they're in 4s. All right. Haku. And the first round buys is P. Grody, 31, 13-1. Sutton's Ranch Yellowstone at 10-4, first round buys. And the quarter matchup is Cobra Kyler Batula up against Cam Bryan. So that's the first quarter. Second quarter is Hubs TPA against Balls Deep. And that is the second quarter. Now we go to Larith. J.A. Flip, 37, 12-2. Thing Dude, 10-4, first round buys. Nickel City Wreckers, 36. Like that name.
Bills.
Oh, is that your boy?
Oh, he's a Bills fan.
Oh, is he?
Oh, yeah.
All right. He'll go up against Free Mac, 24-47 in the first quarter. We got Love John versus White Knight in the second quarterfinal. Oh, here's the league.
This is the one.
This is the all. How do you say it? All-Swing?
All-Swing.
All-Swing. All right, it's All-Swing. And we have Super Albiesto, 12-2. I traded quite a bit of players to him to help him propel to this first round bye. We have Gallows, who wasn't interested in watching any of our pods before he came on. Just kidding, Gallows. First round buys. Then in the first quarter, we have Tortoise against Skalem. The two boys are battling it out.
And I had Cup in this league.
Oh, boy. A big donut.
Yes, sir. Starting out with the big donut. The only saving grace I have is that I'm still projected to beat him.
That is good. All right, second quarter, we have the dealer's back, Mr. Ken. And he goes up against our producer, Sarah, M21, in the second quarters. Congratulations to all yours. Hopefully, I will be in this top 6 next year.
Oh, this is
Tsunami is next. We got Thenos Popoff and Batmax first round buys. We got Crows 24 and Bender over in the first quarter against E. Bailey and 716 Mafia Fury in the second quarter. Another Bills guy?
Absolutely.
A lot of Bills Mafia out there.
There's a lot of smart people in our group.
Did we already do Haku?
Oh, we did. Yes, we are now moved down to the last group of 4.
Yeah.
Ghidorah.
All right. Gildora. All right, we got Steb 20, 10-4, and our man Chiefs Life 13, first round buys. We got Chris Rawl up against B. Bennett. That's the first quarter. Second quarter, we got C. Sims 52 and El Presidente in the second quarter. So we got a couple El Presidentes in here.
Yep.
Tiamat.
Tiamat. That's the one that Godzilla kicked the crap out of.
God, whatever happened? Can we just get some leagues that are pronounced like normal names?
Joe. Barry.
I don't know. I'm gonna have something to say when we do the triathlon, naming those leagues. I'm gonna put my 2 cents in. I can't do with these crazy names. All right. So we got Shawnee Mac 24 and JLC 76. First round buys. We got Run CMC TB 76 against Love John. A little bit of Love John, quite a bit of Love John in these dynasties. That'll be the first quarter. We got Ralphie 58 and Brandon. It looks like probably Brandon Fitzgerald. Good last name. That's in the second quarter. 2 more leagues. We have Shadow, and we got Brandon Fitzgerald, along with Cross 24. They get the first round buys. First quarter is Bagney versus Gaio 55. Second quarter is Bender Over against CP Lords or Lordy, CP Lordy. That's the second quarter. I know Sean's just loving this.
This is great. All
right, we got Blue Eyes. And first we got the first round buys, and that's Scuba 317 and R. Richardson. First round buys, congrats. We got Batmax in the first quarter against Artful Dodger. He's in one of the dynasty leagues I run. I think this league is a bunch of players that Ken brought over. The second quarter is El Gaudi. El Gaudi versus TJ Morisi. That's the second quarter. So that wraps up your dynasty. I need like a drink after that.
So do I.
So that wraps that up for dynasty. Sorry I hacked up most of those names, but sorry for that. And
I think the Dragons will forgive you.
I hope so. So I know this, like I said, this will be probably a pretty short show today, but I want to go over to Sean and say, I think I might have asked you earlier, how are you doing so far in your playoffs?
I mean, so I had, like I said, Cup in I think at least 4 leagues, so I'm kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit there, but otherwise I'm okay. I would venture to say that I'm probably going to lose at least 2 or 3 of those games because of that, based on just like what the matchups are looking like now. So it hurts, but it's not the end of the world, I guess. You know, I just need another like amazing Josh Allen game or something to pull me out of the weeds.
Yeah, I think low stakes redraft Sigma, I'm probably going to lose because I've just been decimated with injuries going into the playoffs. No Ken Walker, probably. I think I got.
Have you heard an update on Walker? Because I'm still waiting to hear anything new.
I mean, it's like basically a game time decision if he's going to even go. So
and Pollard. Pollard's another one that we got to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and then I don't know about Ladd. I don't know if Ladd's going to play. I'm just banged up. I'm not going to make it. But Katana, which is the one in mid stakes, I got 11.5 points out of Garendo, which wasn't bad considering I thought he wasn't even going to play. So that helped me out a little bit, and I'm actually favored to beat Cash. And Zubikis, he's playing Mr. Ben. Mr. Ben, I mean, he's projected to beat Mr. Ben by quite a bit, but Mr. Ben didn't put his lineup in yet. He's still got Henry on the bench, and I think he's got Terry McLaurin on the bench still. So he'll be closing that matchup up a little bit. But I know he got a real stinker out of Purdy, so that kind of held him back a little bit.
Yeah,
so
that Purdy scenario. I don't know what to think about that guy now with the rest of the season. Playing in the playoffs at this point. Like, do you start at like a Will Levis over him at this point?
No, you can't do that. You got to put Purdy back. I mean,
No,
I was
right?
watching his throws. I mean, some of his throws, they were complaining the ball was slick. He kind of airmailed a few throws, but I mean, that one that Debo dropped, that could have been, he could have taken that to the house.
Should have taken that to the house. I mean, that was ridiculous. He dropped three passes in this game, right?
Yeah,
like one right at the gate.
Yeah, and Juwan Jennings dropped a couple passes. So I mean, I'm not putting it all on Purdy. A lot had to do with his receivers. But I tell you what, man, Sean McVay, he is the fantasy coach's like dream, man. I mean, giving his running back like 30 touches, it's just like, going into every game that everything is going to be funned to the one running back and two receivers. That's it. That's
well, one receiver.
Yesterday was really only one. It was friggin' Puka all day. And but yeah, that's the type of coach you want for fantasy, is a guy that just like, condenses everything to just his best players. He gives everything to his best players. Doesn't funnel everything around everybody else. So I guess that was the only positive thing yesterday is, you got Kyron Williams, you got, Puka, Garendo helped you out with double digits.
For them to score you those points and no touchdowns in the game, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, no, that's real nice. I mean, it's so anyways, anything else for you? What do you got? What do you got coming up on the Monday show? I know you're gonna have your you got your guillotine leagues. They should be down to what? Like
we're down to the playoffs now. Yeah, so we're it's not best ball. It's just it's overall scoring. So that's what the spreadsheet is set up for. So every week we'll update the sheet to and coordinate with the scoring, so everybody knows where they're at as far as the actual like continuous scoring throughout the 3 weeks. But it's we're gonna have a kind of different episode this go around. We're gonna do a few segments, a couple of things on what maybe we should have done differently. Who was the guillotine MVP this year? And kind of look at some things like that, and just focus on maybe some ways that we could look at the season to get like a bird's eye view of how it went and what maybe we could do moving forward that could be better. So being that we're all new at this, we want to try to provide some content that's helpful for next season.
Now, when you mean guillotine MVP, is that a guy that somebody got for like hardly any money and he's like blowing up?
So that's going to be like part of the criteria. What I'm going to do is look through each of the leagues and find the guillotine MVP per league. So it's going to depend on how much they were bought for, how often they were bought, how long they sat on one team, and how many points they scored. All those kinds of things are going to factor into it. I'm going to try to put together a pseudo formula of some sort that I can try to come up with a good answer for each one of those leagues, because I would think that there's going to be at least one player in each league that pretty much solidified a run to the playoffs for whatever team they're on. So I want to try to pinpoint that player and highlight them.
I bet there'll be quite a bit of Chuba. Chuba's, he's going to be probably one that's up there.
Exactly. Yeah, guys like that, it could be a guy that was drafted by a team and sat on the same team all season. That very well could be the case. If Chuba was picked up by a guy late in the draft when we first started this, and they just played him like all year long and stayed with him all year long, that's easily an MVP candidate in my opinion. So, that's going to be kinds of things that I'm going to look for when it comes to breaking it down.
Yeah, well, I must say, this is the first year I played guillotine. I've never played guillotine before. I just started this year, and I know that going into next year, there's probably a few things I'll do differently that I learned, this time go around. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, I must say that it was probably those guillotine leagues. I probably spent a lot more time looking at them every week just because it was so crucial, especially during waivers where, you're trying to, like, this is huge. It's just not, I mean, you're not just bidding on just some, random dudes that, are hot for the week. These are like pivotal players that you're bidding on, and you got to make sure, you bid on these players correctly. You got to look at other people's amount of fab they have, and you got to make sure that you try not to load up your team with like all one team.
Yeah.
Like if look at a player and you're like, well, I already have a couple Vikings. I don't want another Viking, in the starting lineup. So I got to pass on this guy. I'm not even going to bid on him, especially if I pass the trade deadline and I can't trade him. I don't want him sitting on my team wasting fab because I don't want to play him. So there's a lot of strategy involved, and segueing into the triathlon league for next year, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to have to like really, really watch your fab. You're going to have to watch the other teams. You're going to have to make sure you don't build your team like you would best ball with too many players. So it's a lot more it's a lot more coddling. You really have to it's not just a regular league where, you don't spend that much time on it. You got to spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah. Yeah, especially as you move through the season. Like early in the season, 18 teams, it's not extremely difficult to try to stay above if you draft good enough to stay out of the bottom team for the first, month maybe. Yeah, but when you're getting down to where you're getting into the low teens, as far as how many teams in the league, and as they're building up, players and adding to their roster week to week, you can't just sit there and like stay idle for too long because you're going to fall behind and you won't be able to stay above that cutoff line any longer. So there's a real like happy median in there. Like you said, I approached it a little differently this year than last year, and I actually spent like a good chunk of my change week one. And you remember this because I think me and you were both bidding on the same player, and I ended up
Jonathan Taylor
24 or something. Exactly, yeah. And like looking at the way the season played out, that guy wasn't worth that money. Obviously now it's easy to say that, but at the time it felt like it was a no-brainer to try to snag him on your roster. So I did that in all three leagues, and I ended up it ended up doing well for me in two, but not the third, or in one, but not the other two. So, looking back on that strategy, yeah, maybe it worked out good in one league, but 1 out of 3 is not something that I want to try to utilize moving forward. So maybe I don't do it as intense next year, and, or give it a few more weeks before I really start to spend the wad. I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and kind of evaluate everything and look at it all. But that's the thing about these guillotine leagues is like there isn't really one known method that's going to be the best approach. Nobody knows exactly what the right way to do it is. There really isn't one. It's whatever is going to be your preference. Do you want to get the high player early and let those good guys go as they start getting cheaper and cheaper until a certain point, or do you want to just wait it out and hope that you can stay above the cutoff line long enough to where you're the one with the most money?
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, so I'm big when it comes to strategy in fantasy football. Like I try to look for all the angles. Sure, like a lot of people do. I figure if I can find an edge, I'm going to try to exploit it. So I want to ask you a question on strategy. So I know, I'm still learning. I'm knowing that you don't want to load your team up like a best ball, but like going into next year, like I noticed like guillotine, like every week you could lose and be done. So you have to make sure, that your players are available. So going back this year, I noticed that Alex drafted CMC number 1 overall, and he was out week 1. Alex was done. So going into next year, when you draft in guillotine, are you staying away from chronically injured players? Now, they might not be injured right away. They might be healthy, but if they have a track record of being injured or getting hurt very easily, are you kind of like knocking them down your rankings? Are you fine still drafting him, or are they totally off your board?
I would say that puts them behind the 8 ball when it comes to tiebreakers. So depending on like how the draft's playing out, if they're sitting at the top of my board with another guy who I've got pretty close to them in rankings, and they don't have an injury concern at all, then I'll lean that way and go the non-injury concerned player and leave the guy with that potential injury on the board. that will definitely sway my opinion. I'd say more in a guillotine than it would in a standard redraft or something of that nature. Just because like you said, Alex made the move for CMC, which at the time was the consensus 1-1 across fantasy was for most of the offseason. So that wasn't a bad move to make at the time, but we did know that there was a Achilles issue by the point in time that we made these drafts. So he took the chance on that, and it ended up
Right.
costing. When you're 1.1 specifically, it's a huge risk because 1.1, your next player in a guillotine league, you're talking what 36 players.
Well, yeah,
overall,
because you have 18 teams. So yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's and then it's third round reversal. So you're going to get another player, but then you're not getting that wraparound.
Exactly.
So you can't miss on those. Like you can't miss on your first two picks. Your first two picks got to stay healthy and they got to produce.
Yeah. I took Laporta in the league and it cost me because he was my first pick, thinking tight end was going to be a hard position to have a solid player for, that boosts the tight end, premium in a dynasty league or in a guillotine league. So tight ends in the first round of the guillotine league are pretty, they're considered the right move if it's a tight end like a Kelsey or what we thought Laporta was going to be. Laporta did not turn into what we anticipated this year. And because of that, I was behind the 8 ball like crazy in that league pretty much from the gate. So
Now let me ask you one other quick question, and this kind of went into some of my strategy. So I tried to draft guys that had like later buys, and I figured I could deal with that down the road. I just don't want early buys and have to like trying to struggle. Now let's say going into next year, Josh Allen has like a buy 6. And let's say Jalen Hurts has a buy like 12. Are you still taking Josh or are you taking Hurts because he has a later buy?
So in that scenario, I'm still taking Josh because
Okay.
Josh, as a player, like weeks 1 through 4, you're gonna be able to be fine, right? Or weeks 1 through 5 if he's in by week 6. So you're good at your quarterback position. I feel like by week 6, I can fill that position for that 1 week with a good player at that point just to get by that week. And I'm not going to pass up like a Josh Allen to miss out just because of that. Now had it been like say we put like let's Jalen Hurts and who's another good quarterback right in that realm, Joe Burrow. We'll say Jalen Hurts or Joe Burrow are both sitting there, and then the bye week scenario is what it is. Then I might take Hurts over Burrow.
Okay.
But the difference between Hurts and Allen to me is different in that aspect. I might be Homer, but that's how high I have Allen as far as his ability is just everything that he's capable of doing.
Got you. So, all right. Well, yeah, like I said, I just wanted to pick your brain because like I said, next year I'll probably do things a little bit different, but
and you gave me an idea there too with that. Like maybe what I'll do too for the pod is maybe I'll do some awards, and we can do some guillotine awards for that episode on Monday and hand out some awards to maybe the guillotine manager of the season. I have an idea already who I think it's going to be looking at that, but that might be something we can do too to highlight some of the great moves. Maybe the best buy of the season. Who gave you the most points for the best bang for buck. Kind of thing, and put together, a few different awards for you guys. We'll do a little award ceremony.
No, that'll be cool. So yeah, so you gamers, check it. If you haven't already, even if you don't play guillotine, check into Sean's pod on Monday. It's very informative. And like I said, I never played guillotine before. I'm a little bit of a creature of habit. I don't like change too much. But once I got into these guillotine leagues and started playing them, I was like, wow, this is
of the triathlon.
Yeah, I mean, it was like it's a rush, and I mean, I play a lot of poker, and poker's a rush, and fantasy is a rush too, but guillotine's a rush every week. Like at least in regular fantasy season long best ball, it's really not a rush. You just got to get to the playoffs. But guillotine every week's a playoff because you could be done.
And even if you're safe and you're good in midweek 1, like you're watching the bottom of the rung because you're like, what players will be available for me next week?
Yeah, and that's what I was doing. Is if I knew I was safe, I was looking at the players that could be available, and I was seeing if they could correlate with my team.
Yeah.
Because
I was
if
picking the one that I wanted to lose. I won't lie about it. I'll be honest. I was picking the guy I wanted to lose.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, this is the team I want available. So I hope that this guy scores the least.
Yeah. So yeah, very interesting. And but other than that, I want to thank everybody for tuning into the pod. It's playoff weekend. We want to wish everybody in Ballsville the best of luck if you've made the playoffs. If you have a first round bye in the dynasty leagues, you can just sit back and just relax and chill and just kind of watch.
You can let Cooper Kupp get those goose eggs. Doesn't bother you one bit.
No, you can just cross your fingers your player doesn't get hurt. But yeah, if you lay a goose egg like Cooper Kupp, and you could be like, that's okay. I got a first round bye. You could lay the goose egg all he wants. So, but anyways, all right. For my co-host Sean, I am Scott Lutz for sale, and until Monday's pod, until Tuesday's pod next week, you guys have a great weekend. Good luck, and we will see you then. We are out.